screaming. In a lap, I lost a 9-second lead.
Burnwood very obviously is slowing down Ricky Johnson. There's Bailey right behind him.
When I caught Rick, I was surprised, actually. It was right after the finish.
9 seconds by, Bailey's right next to him.
I remember the crowd just went nuts. And I was like, yeah, I know, huh? I thought I had it.
Goes right for the lead right there, and Johnson on the inside line has got guts.
I mean, the guy was the aggressor for sure.
This is going to be fun.
Now that these two Supercross giants had come together, what would soon unfold could only be described as epic.
It was a Muhammad Ali-Frazier fight between the two of those guys.
Again, we're looking at those monster roots. Wow, a great pass the way that Bailey went through there on the outside of the sand.
David was as serious as a heart attack that night.
Rick was the kind of guy that if you pick up the pace, he'll just match it.
If I don't start attacking, I'm not going to be able to just sit and wear him out.
He went a lot higher than Ricky, and Ricky very nearly T-boned him right there in the corner.
They were touching so much, but nobody's falling down.
Number 6 in the red and white. Wow, another bump.
You know, like, wow.
Ricky wanted to win. Hands down.
Number 5 is the only guy in camera view right now who is on the same lap. Everybody else, they're at least 1 lap down.
You know, I kept hearing the crowd. There must be a great race up in front of me. Well, the race was actually behind me. These guys were getting ready to lap me.
Look at this. Bailey on the inside pulls the lead and takes it back again. That's the 4th time in a lap that we've had the lead change.
You can sense when somebody's coming up on you because the crowd noise follows them around the track.
And you hear the crowd, whoop, you know, all of a sudden pipe up. It's like, okay, where is he? I know he's close.
Being lapped, and there's Ricky Johnson, a great inside pass, and Bailey gets him back again.
By lap 17, however, Ricky Johnson's bulldog determination had begun to bow to the effects of the evening's effort against Bailey's persistent pounding.
I was unbelievably tired.
And I just glanced over, and it was like, he was back a bit. And like, finally.
And David the Bandit Bailey, number 6, the little professor.
If I was David Bailey, I probably would have cleaned out Rick Johnson.
I think the spectators love close racing. I think team managers go bald because of it.
And that's what Supercross is about. I mean, when you get a race like that, they remember it forever.
The king of Supercross, Jeremy McGrath, faces down a new challenger to his throne and kingdom when we return. Supercross in the 80s gave fans choices on who to cheer for, as any one of a number of riders could win. The 90s, however, saw the dominance of one man, who was to be crowned the king of Supercross, Jeremy Showtime McGrath. By 1996, he had already had 3 consecutive Supercross titles, and coming into round number 4 at Seattle, he had started the streak with 3 wins in a row. It was a demoralizing situation for the rest of the competition.
You didn't worry about anybody else because it was McGrath against the rest of the field.
He was pretty much making us look like idiots.
Each year there was always a new guy coming into this series, and it's like, oh, who's going to take down Jeremy? And that year it happened to be Damon Huffman.
He was pretty much untouchable.
Nothing had panned out for him at that time. For me, I thought all the threats were really gone, and it was just going to be business as usual like it always was.
Both McGrath and Huffman had gotten bad starts, and Seattle local favorite Larry Ward had jumped out to an early lead.
I don't think that Larry Ward is that intimidated by these guys, and he's already starting to pull away.
and I clearly remember McGrath passing me in one of the opening few laps. And I told myself, just stick with him.
You know he's going to the front. You do everything you can to stay on his wheel.
But it wouldn't be long before both McGrath and Huffman had Ward in their sights and would take him down, allowing the real battle to begin.
Jeremy McGrath now right on the bumper of Larry Ward.
Pretty soon we were 1 and 2 out front.
He's got the inside. Jeremy McGrath is now our leader. And look at Damon Huffman also trying to sneak in to take second place.
You know, I think by the time Jeremy was in the front, we were kind of in cruise mode going, okay, we can just relax.
I just had no idea that Damon was behind me.
He thinks he's faster than McGrath. He's not going to let him get away. He's going to put pressure on him. This is the battle now.
That night, Huffman had the whoop section dialed. I mean, dialed.
Look at Huffman to the whoop section. He's got a beautiful line, putting the pressure on McGrath, and McGrath bobbles.
it definitely was a benefit to have a little longer legs.
For perhaps the first time in over 3 years, McGrath would now find himself in unfamiliar territory as the rookie Damon Huffman began to show the champ he was for real.
Yeah, we were really surprised he was hanging with him, and he stuck the wheel in there a couple times. He definitely shook him up.
To see a guy like Damon Huffman just challenge him the way he did, you know, people were like, is this really happening?
For the first time this season, Jeremy McGrath, beyond the second lap of the race, has a challenge.
People were sensing that Jeremy was going to get beat.
Huffman! Oh my goodness, bar to bar! The crowd is going bananas!
The crowd is just standing on their feet.
And it started getting so loud in the Kingdom that I remember looking at Art Ekman, he's like, I can't hear you. I couldn't hear myself talking.
As the race wore on past the midpoint, the moist dirt in the Kingdom was beginning to take its toll on McGrath, while the lanky Huffman soaked up the ruts.
It's so ruddy, and you have so many different lines, and the lines are constantly changing.
The ruts, that was not that good, and it was definitely an equalizer.
Huffman breaking into the corner now, has the angle to take over the lead.
There was a lot going on that race when we planned on kind of maybe having an easy weekend out of it.
Going into the triple, bar to bar. McGrath retakes the lead.
I would enter the whoops, and I blew right by him.
They're coming into that whoop section again, and watch Huffman right back by him with 5 legs.
But Huffman himself could not escape the changing track conditions as the Seattle dirt began to wreak havoc on his Kawasaki's clutch.
By the midway point, I started getting some pretty major free play in my clutch.
So when you would pull the lever in, the clutch wouldn't disengage.
They got a huge lead over third place Lampson.
McGrath was given the inside and he took it.
I came into the first turn area, had the clutch in, and I think I just dragged a little too much rear brake, and the bike just stalled on me.
Oh, Huffman stalled it!
He stalled his bike.
Just one of those moments where you just can't believe it.
You always can hear the guy around you. And if you go another couple corners and then you don't hear him, you're like, oh, okay, something must have happened. Trust me, it was a relief.
Jeremy McGrath, his 4th consecutive victory, and a valiant effort by Damon Huffman, number 10.
Damon Huffman put in a great race that night.
He wanted to try to, you know, be the guy that knocked off the king.
I mean, at that time, it was the 4th year, going on the 4th year of me winning races, and it didn't happen too much where I was battling with a guy. So, I mean, he deserved a lot of credit.
He gained a lot of confidence there.
It just made me even more hungry for the following weekend, trying to beat McGrath. I honestly had the confidence, the bike, and everything to do it.
From that night, there was a development on the motorcycles.
For the riders to be able to adjust the free play out so they could disengage the clutch.
The king and his court march into a new palace in St. Louis. Can any rider rise to the challenge of ending the streak? Stay tuned. It had been a long 1996 season since his close battle with Damon Huffman in Seattle. By round 14 in St. Louis, Jeremy McGrath's win streak had grown to an incredible 13 races in a row, and pressure was mounting for everyone involved as to who would take down the king at least once.
50% of me, I wanted to see Jeremy do it, and 50% I wanted to see if someone could knock him off.
The crowd themselves came there to watch Jeremy McGrath get beat.
If there was one rider who had a snowball's chance at ending McGrath's streak, it would be Kawasaki's Jeff Emig. St. Louis was home court for Jeff, which he would take full advantage of.
I got a really good start, and it was okay. I'm going to get the whole shot. We know that. But now what am I going to do with the rest of the race?
He really never was known for putting 20 laps together in a Supercross. I mean, he'd have some mistakes and stuff like that.
What am I going to do differently to win this race here tonight?
The gate will drop any second. Now it's gone.
Jeremy gets a terrible jump out of the gate.
Emig, good jump.
McGrath didn't get the start.
My head was not into this race like it should have been.
McGrath is about in 10th position right now, but then he shoots by 4 riders right before the next turn. Emig is our leader. LaRocco got a good start. There's Bill Lawrence, 13.
With his main rival in the lead, a bad start was just the first of McGrath's challenges that night. The always tough Mike LaRocco was about to put on one of the best rides of his career.
When I caught up to Mike LaRocco, I didn't think, oh yeah, this is going to be no problem. Maybe if we were at Anaheim, then it'd be no problem.
I knew I worked harder than anybody else. I mean, I used to take Taekwondo. I mean, I wanted to be able to physically beat everybody one way or another on that line.
Jeremy McGrath has been in this position before at different tracks with 3 riders in front of him. But he's always been able to get the break, the right move at the right time. LaRocco just won't let him take it.
If I can make him run 20 laps, and then I have the best chance of beating him, because he just didn't have to normally do it.
One guy that I'm really impressed with is Phil Lawrence, because he has closed in the battle just ahead of these guys on Emig.
Phil Lawrence, who was one of my best buds, he was running second. He was keeping Emig honest.
Well, remember, he's riding basically, you know, a privateer bike.
And then he had a little miscalculation, jumped into the bales and fell down.
LaRocco now starting to move inch up on Jeff Emig.
Mike was the faster guy. He made a miscalculation. I passed him.
And he cuts in front of LaRocco. Jeremy McGrath brings the crowd to their feet.
I remember that if I was in the race, that I wasn't going to let it go easy.
2 corners later, he just railed me.
Bar to bar, McGrath takes the advantage of the triple. LaRocco, he gets the block pass. Oh, what great infighting.
The battle was really between LaRocco and me.
Just because you win 13 in a row doesn't give you a free pass.
Maybe I was rough on him because I wanted to beat him more than I wanted to beat anybody else.
If he wasn't getting hammered by the riders, it was the changing conditions of the Missouri dirt that kept McGrath scrambling to keep Jeff Emig in his sights.
Gosh, it was so soft and so ruddy. I was doing all I could do to stay on the bike.
The track design itself probably threw Jeremy off a little bit.
The track was probably one of those tracks that was real easy to override.
You start trying harder, over jumping stuff. Well, when you start doing that, you're losing time, you're not gaining time.
A track like that really suited Jeff.
And I don't believe in time.
Mike LaRocco was leaving McGrath bruised in third and had caught Jeff Emig to make a play for the lead. It wouldn't last long.
Coming through the whoops. Great move by LaRocco to the inside. And then the double jump by Emig to retake the lead.
Yeah, I probably really wished I could get him back, try and stuff him back, but he ended up falling off the bike and messing himself up.
Now Emig, LaRocco bumps and comes off the bike. Jeremy McGrath leaps by him.
Now with LaRocco's jaw loose from his ankle, Jeremy would still scramble to find a pace or rhythm that had gotten him to the front 13 times before that season.
What was the call? I don't know. I didn't know. There was no plan. It was like, try hard to keep up, try and stay on as tight as I could to him in case he made a mistake.
Can Emig, with Jeremy McGrath behind him, hold on to the lead?
Up front, Jeff Emig would begin feeling the pressure of a dangerous McGrath advance, but he would keep his focus on the goal, a first 1996 victory against the man known as Showtime.
It just seems like I rode perfect laps. I didn't have the fastest laps, but it was consistently the same line every time.
1 lap to go.
Going with the white flag, it was, okay, no mistakes, perfect laps, keep hitting your lines.
We were obviously always looking to see where McGrath was because we expected him to come up and pass him, but it didn't happen, so it was cool.
Jeremy, instead of this attack position, he kind of dropped his shoulders like, it's just not going to happen.
It is Jeff Emig.
I got goosebumps right now thinking about that. Hitting that double and crossing the finish line.
Jeff rode a great race.
Jeff Emig, number 2 in front of Jeremy McGrath. The streak is broken.
Inside of my helmet, I mean, in my heart and in my mind, I was so happy. When I crossed the finish line, and I remember rolling down the start straight, and I'm doing this thing where I got my legs up, and I was, you know, if I could have done a backflip off the bike, I probably would have. I just remember looking over at the mechanics area to J-Bone. It was like, dude, we did it.
It was definitely a good turning point for us.
Though Jeff Emig had won the battle that ended the King's streak that night in St. Louis, another Warriors effort did not go unnoticed.
Mike LaRocco basically
set up the win for Jeff Emig.
Yeah, I think I helped him for sure.
Had Mike not been there, for me, the night would have gone differently, I think.
In my mind, it wasn't like Jeff beat me. It was more like I beat myself. I choose to look at it like that, and I'll take that with me when I die.
Next, a torch will be